Hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another time-lapse painting. This one is called Orange Sunset. I was going for a nice energetic feel just at the end of the day when you had a good day. This is hopefully what it feels like, what you get. It's a kind of a somewhat little bit of a choppy sea, because you had a rough day, but it ended well. It wasn't too crazy. So the orange is supposed to be calming, and the blue is supposed to also be calming. It's a happy mix. Here I am with the kind of sketching out how it's gonna look like. This isn't obviously close to what it looks like at the end, but it just gives me frame of reference and helps me plan out how I'm gonna do every brush stroke, because it helps to do this because it lets me feel out how I'm gonna go through the painting, how my hands are gonna move. It's kind of because my hands are kind of doing like a little bit of a dance, and the more I do this, the more I realize how I can change the mood of the painting just through little swirls and curls. And I can keep it by doing that little preliminary sketch. I can kind of plan the dance steps of it. So here I am throwing the orange paint on, just beginning with it. I'm going really loose because I'm not gonna let this be the final portion of it. I mean, I'm gonna definitely refine it very well, but after I'm done with this first layer, I'm gonna throw more paint on it, just to more paint. I keep on saying paint. I mean the mixture, this modeling paste mixture. See, as you can see, look at the clouds right now. They're not great, but it's good enough for now until I get to the final layer. And so I go to the sea. Now for the sea, I just I lay down a nice layer of modeling paste, just like you would if you were making a sandwich and you were putting some mayo on it. But this one, so once I get that layer of paint down, I take my fan brush and drag it across very lightly, gently, and it creates these big ripples. And then I add more paint, and again just drag it lightly over the surface at a very flat incline over it, like 20 degrees angle. And as you drag it across gently, it just creates this wave effect, and it's really pretty. And unfortunately, I didn't get to show you the video of me adding this iridescent green over it. Again, this iridescent green wasn't. It was more for the sea, but then I added it to the clouds too, just to see like the different elevation levels of the texture, and that way I know where I want to go in and add more elevation and more detail. Because the water, again, I just threw a nice translucent layer over everything. As you can see, it doesn't really cover the orange because it just flows into the crevices. So here I am at the boat. I've gotten really good at making the boats now, or just really good in general at making shapes and keeping them the way I want to. And usually when I make a shape, I first get the 2D elements of them down, so I get it. So I don't really worry too much about which area pokes out, and which area is more flat, and which area is closer to the surface of the canvas. I just try to get the surface, or excuse me, I just try to get the 2D shape right, and after that dries, I'll add more paint and then slowly work into the shapes. Like even now, like right now it doesn't look great, but I add paint now just to, or more of the mixture of modeling paste, just to sculpt out the 3D layer, the 3D element poking up. Try to get the curve of the canvas. The reason I use brown, I could use different colors, but usually my rationale is that because brown is more of like a red color, orangish color, it contrasts with the blue of the sea, so it just looks cooler. Because later on I'm gonna color the sails gold, but I'm not gonna color the areas that stick up the sails, and I'll leave that part brown. And so here I am adding the final sails, the back sails. I've been meaning to learn more about each sail of the ship and what each boat is like, and I have a sticky note sticking out right here on my table. It says learn more about boats, but I haven't done it yet, and I've been meaning to for the longest time. But here I am adding the crests and foam of waves of the sea. You can see my hand kind of doing like a little like opening with the fingers. That's because the container I'm dipping into is tall. And so later on I'm gonna take a bunch of that paint and just stick it in the container that has an easier access to the inside of it. Because right now I keep on having to like do some hand gymnastics and it's making my hands sore. And so here I am with the more open container. I really like those containers. I actually got them from a cookware set I bought for camping. It came with like a pot, a pan, and these little bowls that I'm supposed to eat out of, but I don't know how people could ever eat out of these bowls because they're so small. Like, you have to be a little bird to call that as meal. I guess maybe you can pour out of the pot, but even I ended up getting much better cookware set later, so I ended up now using these bowls as my art bowls. And I've been using these bowls for like 10 years, man. I've been using these bowls. It's crazy when you have something for a long time, you start to develop a relationship with it, and it's like you don't want to really do anything different. So I hope to be able to use these for a long time soon. Not that I'm not gonna change to a better bowl, but these ones so far have been the best because they have like the perfect shape for it. Like even my brushes I've had for, I don't even know, at least 5 years, the one I'm using right now. Like some of the bristles have fallen off, and it's got like the brush I'm using right now is supposed to be 1.5 millimeter thickness, the bristles, but it's probably like 1.1 now because it's just thinned out over time. But I still like the brush. It's been worn in and stretched out and just a workhorse for me. So I really like using this one. And again, as you can see, I kind of fast forward through or just eliminate some of the parts where they just constant repetition, because I want to get to the parts that are most fun to watch, which is, for example, I really enjoy doing these glazes where I just mix a little bit of paint with water and then spread it over the canvas and then spray the canvas with my my spray bottle. And then now I'm adding this iridescent paint. It's really nice. I really like using the iridescent paint because it has two tints. It has a golden tint, this the one I'm using, and a reddish tint, but there's also other ones. There's blue and green, there's gold. Gold I usually use for the sails. And here I am adding the gold paint. It's also mixed with a little bit of yellow. And then I added more blue. And after I did all that, I went and, okay, now I'm adding the orange paint again over the areas I want to make stick out more, and usually it's almost all of it or a lot of it. It looks cool right now, but what I had in mind and what I was envisioning, it just didn't add up, and I don't ever want to like stop just because it looks cool, because I know I can do better. So and definitely do better once I add this thick layer of orange paint. And I'm using a nice container right there. That container what did I have? I had some kind of like, I got it from those facial cleansers or whatever, those little circles. I actually ended up throwing them away because I don't use them often, and they dried up and they had no more cleansing part to it. But anyway, let's talk about this part again. Here I am just adding the thick globs on there, and I add a glob, and then the moment I finish adding those globs, I go back into it with my trusty round brushes and just etch and sketch and add little sharp tips just to make it look really nice and fun. Make the eyes dance across the canvas, across the clouds. I was really before I started this, I was a little bit nervous because again, it looks cool right now. I really like the way it came out, and then when something looks good, you don't want to go back into it, and then oh no, I gotta edit it. But yeah, I pulled up my big boy pants and said, all right, let's get it, and I'm happy that I did that because it comes out way better than it did before. I wasn't expecting it to look as good as it did before I put down this extra orange paint. I was kind of just expecting it to be like a framework for this part. But then I was like, oh, okay, now it looks good. I don't know if I want to go into it again, but I did. One thing I noticed about painting is I like my head gets tired, and I realize it's because the more decisions you have to make, the more tired you get. I remember like hearing podcasts and like TED Talks about decision fatigue, and I was like, oh, that sounds like it's some highbrow stuff. But now that I've been painting for a while, I realize that I'm constantly making decisions, and it's definitely affecting my energy levels. Especially when I have to start a new subject. Like with the seas now, it's become like it's become my favorite subject to paint because I have a very easy process that I don't think too much about. But when I do other subjects and I have to think of new ways to paint, then I get tired more. That's why if you see my works nowadays, I try to do more different subjects than just a sea, just so I can grow as an artist and discover new things and new ideas and new techniques. Part of my favorite part about painting is doing something that's never been done before, or at least that I don't think has been done before. And it's fun to just develop new ways of painting. It's kind of like the way I develop my style, which it's been rather serendipitous to get here, because I would be painting, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I could do that, I could do this, and then I do it, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So these ideas kind of don't come to me just like when I'm walking down the street. They come when I'm painting, and then while I'm painting, I have to take breaks and write down, okay, use more thicker paste next time, or oh wait, I could do this or that. And it's through just constantly painting that I develop cooler, newer things. I'd say it's probably like 80% discover, or like just figuring things out, or just serendipitously running into it, and then 20% of it is actually thought out. Actually, like when I sit down and actually think about what I'm gonna do. So here I am adding the translucent layers over. Started with orange, then I added yellow, then purple. Then I'll probably go back to yellow again. I want them to mix a little bit, but not too much, so I'm really choosy where I'm gonna put these. Trying to make sure that it creates, like, each swirl seems like a crashing swirl into the clouds. It's like the clouds are almost like falling. Again, I'm just trying to pull attention towards the sun once I put it down. Trying to create like a feel of the end of the day. It's over, guys. We're going to sleep. Don't have to think about anything until the morning. Here I am lightening up a bit the painting. It was getting dark. The purple was flowing off the clouds into the sky, and I wasn't happy with that, so I just fixed it. And here I added some purple. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record that part, but I added some purple for the sky to contrast with the sails, which are yellow and or gold and purple or yellow and purple are complementary colors, so when you do that, it just makes everything pop more, happier. And that's about it, guys. This is the end of the painting. I appreciate you guys watching me, adding these final details. Here's some more of the iridescent gold paint. I'm painting the boat purple too, dark purple. It turns to black really, but you can tint black. And here's the final painting. Take care.